Hello and welcome to Business Unbound. My name is Florian Haufe and I'm your host for this show. This is the very first episode of the Business Unbound podcast, a podcast dedicated to conversations with visionary leaders from every corner of the globe to bring you insights, inspiration, and the real stories behind success. But before we dive into our first interview with some truly extraordinary leaders from around the world, I wanted to take a moment to introduce myself, share what this podcast is really about, and explain why I decided to start this podcast in the first place. Now, think of this first episode as setting the stage. It's about understanding what you can expect from the conversations we are going to have together. So let me start with the basics. My name is Florian Haufe, and I've spent the last 15 years working at the intersection of finance, strategy, and complex business transformation. Currently, I'm a director at AlixPartners, a global strategy and management consulting firm, where I focus on solving some of the most intricate challenges facing organizations today, particularly in financial services. So in my day-to-day work, I help major organizations navigate, for example, regulatory complexity, redesign their operations for efficiency and effectiveness, and manage risk in, an environment that's constantly shifting. In the past, I've worked with some of the world's leading organizations and with some of the largest financial institutions. Before my consulting career, I spent years in banking myself in an in-house role. Now, let's move a little bit to the academic side. I've invested in my own education pretty much throughout my career. I hold a bachelor's degree in business administration and banking, a master degree in management, another master degree in corporate and business law, and perhaps most relevant for this format, an executive MBA from the University of Oxford. In the past, I've also founded a digital venture in the training and certification space. So I've basically built a company from the ground up, overcame quite a few challenges, I would say, and then sold the majority stake to a strategic investor in 2024. And that experience taught me things no textbook ever could about entrepreneurship, about leadership, building products, and scaling teams. So when I say I come from a rather diverse background spanning consulting, banking, entrepreneurship, and global business, I really mean it. Now, you might be thinking, that's a nice resume, but why should I listen to a podcast from this person? Here's the thing. If you've ever felt like you're operating in a business bubble, if you're surrounded by people from your industry, by people from your own geography or your own function, you know what I'm talking about. You get really good at solving problems within that bubble. But the best ideas, the ones that truly transform careers and businesses, they almost always come from connecting dots that others haven't connected yet. And that's where the Business Unbound podcast comes in. Whether you're a senior executive trying to navigate complexity and drive real change, a rising leader looking for a roadmap to the next level, or if you're an entrepreneur building something from the scratch, or even a mid-career professional considering a major pivot, you've probably experienced moments where you wished you had access to a broader network of thinking. Not generic business advice, not one-dimensional case studies, but real, candid conversations with people who have actually done it across industries, across continents, and across very different challenges. Business Unbound is built for this. So what makes this different from the dozens of other business podcasts out there? And the answer lies in my time that I spent in Oxford, at the University of Oxford. During my executive MBA, I had something I didn't quite appreciate until I completed the program. I had access to an extraordinary network of diverse people, brilliant people, I have to say. Every single cohort member of mine came from a different industry, a different country, a different background, a different way of thinking. And someone would share an insight from, for example, running a tech startup, and it would spark an idea for solving a problem in banking. Or someone else would talk about their experience navigating a crisis in the African or Latin American market, and it would completely reshape how we think about risk and resilience. It was electric and always very energizing for me. And that cross-pollination of ideas, that's what creates real innovation. So what I realized after the program ended is that I didn't want to lose that energy. I didn't want to retreat back into my own consulting bubble and lose access to these perspectives. And I thought, what if? What if I could capture that magic and make it accessible to anyone who shares that hunger for broader business thinking? And that's really the core idea behind Business About. This isn't a show where I interview the same types of people from the same industries talking about the same problems. It's a show grounded in genuine diversity, geographic, sectoral, functional. The guests you'll hear from, they come from my network and include, for example, executives at global tech companies like Google or Microsoft, defense and industrials leaders, senior figures in private equity, partners in international law firms, CFOs and corporate treasurers, but also entrepreneurs building new ventures. And what they all share is a track record of success, a willingness to be genuinely candid about how they got to where they are and what I have learned along the way and what perspectives shape them throughout their careers. Each conversation is really meant to go deep. We are not doing surface level Q&A. We are exploring their backgrounds and experiences. We dig into the real challenges, also into failures, and we extract personal reflections and lessons that have broader application. The goal is always actionable insights paired with genuine inspiration, the kind of conversation that stays with you. Now, in practical terms, here's what you can expect starting pretty much immediately. We are launching with weekly episodes, and I'm conscious that, well, I'm balancing this with a demanding full-time role in consulting, with significant family responsibilities and all the other things that come with being a working professional. But this project is really important to me, and I'm making it a genuine priority. So one high-quality episode every week, that's my commitment. And the interviews, I've mentioned this, are being drawn from my professional network. The relationships that I've built over 15 years in consulting through my time at Oxford University and through the global executive community that I'm connected with, including colleagues, clients, other partners that I've met along the way, other leaders that I've encountered in places like Yale University, for example, and through other international business school programs that I participated in. These aren't strangers to me. They are not being booked by a producer. They are real relationships, people that I respect, people who agreed to come on the show and to do this because they believe in what we are trying to build together. In these early months of the podcast, I'm focused on building a very strong foundation, creating episodes that demonstrate what this show is really about. I'm focused on growing an audience that understands and values the kind of thinking we are cultivating and proving that there's genuine demand for this kind of a conversation. But I want to be clear about something, well, bigger than weekly podcast episodes. What I'm hoping to build is a community and a platform for unbound business thinking. Over time, I see Business Unbound becoming the place for ambitious professionals to go when they want to expand their perspectives, accelerate their thinking, and access the kind of wisdom that typically only comes from years of experience and hard-won lessons from leaders across the globe. I want this podcast to break down barriers to knowledge that have traditionally existed. In the past, insights from global executives were pretty much siloed, locked away in university networks and in private conversations behind closed doors. And Business Unbound is meant to making this thinking accessible to anyone with curiosity and ambition. So the longer vision is a thriving community where ambitious professionals from all backgrounds engage with ideas, lessons, and inspiration from the people who are genuinely shaping how business works across the world. And if this grows the way I hope, if it builds an audience that values this kind of thinking, there are certainly other possibilities down the line. But for now, I'm focused on one thing: creating genuinely excellent conversations that leave you better informed, more inspired, and with fresh perspectives on what's possible in your own work and career. So that's Business Unbound. That's who I am, why I started this, and what I'm hoping to build. The podcast will officially launch on Monday, January 12th, 2026. Not with one, not with two, but with 3 interview episodes that I've already recorded. You will be hearing from some truly extraordinary people. And from that point forward, a new episode will be released every week on a Monday. And actually, for those of you who are too excited to wait, you can already get exclusive pre-launch access to the first 3 episodes right away. Simply sign up to our mailing list and I will send you the links to the first 3 episodes as unlisted YouTube videos immediately. The link to sign up is in the description below and in the show notes respectively. Now, I genuinely hope that you'll join me for this journey. And if you have thoughts, feedback, or people you think should be a part of this conversation, I'd love to hear from you. Now, thanks for listening and let's get going.